Hi class, today's lesson is lesson 5-9. Today's purpose is to divide fractions and mixed numbers. There is one vocabulary word that we need to be aware of, and that is the word reciprocals. Reciprocals. Now, what exactly is reciprocals? It's two numbers are reciprocals when their product is 1. Sometimes we refer to this as the inverse of a number. For example, let's go down here. It says 1/2 times what is 1? Well, I know that if I multiply it times 2 over 1, I get 1 times 2 and 2 times 1, and that gives me 2 over 2. And 2 over 2 is the same thing as 1. Here we have the same thing. 3/4 times what equals 1? Well, if I go ahead and put the number 4/3 in there, I'll end up with 12 over 12, and that is equal to 1. So 3/4 and 4/3 are reciprocals, just like 1/2 and 2 are reciprocals. Well, what's the reciprocal of 5? Well, 5, let's make this into a fraction, over 1 is the reciprocal of 1/5. We prove that by multiplying the top and the bottom. We have 5 over 5, which again is 1. A reciprocal can be found by just flipping it. One more example, 3/8. What's the reciprocal of 3/8? Well, we just flip 3/8. And when we flip 3/8, we get 8/3. So the reciprocal of 3/8 is 8/3, and we prove that by multiplying them together. We have 24 over 24, which equals 1. There's a definition and some examples of how to find reciprocals for this particular term. Let's go ahead and look at an illustration where here's a quote. It says, dividing any number is the same thing as multiplying by its reciprocal. What? Well, let me show you. Here we have 24 divided by 4, which we all know is 6. So I'm going to put 6 up here in a cloud. Now, if I put 24 divided by 4 and I make 4 into a fraction, 4 over 1, we can rewrite this as a multiplication statement. 6 is the answer. 24 times 1/4 equals 6. So here we have 24 divided by 4. Here we have 24 times 1/4, times the reciprocal. So two things have changed. We've changed the operation, and we've changed the number following that operation to a multiplication times the reciprocal. Both these instances lead up to a product or a quotient of 6. Here's a quotient of 6. Here's a product of 6. All we did was flip and multiply. Let's see it a little more clearly in our first example. Here we have 4/5 divided by 5. I'm going to write down 4/5 divided by 5. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to create this box. And in this box, things get transformed. Anything in this box gets transformed. Anything outside of it remains the same. So 4/5 remains the same on the outside, and I'm going to rewrite the division as a multiplication, and I'm going to rewrite 5 as its reciprocal, 1/5. Because we know these two are the same thing, lead to the same answer, just as we did in our illustration, we're going to multiply 4 times 1 and 5 times 5. That's 4/25. So 4/25 is our answer for the multiplication of the reciprocal as well as the original division problem. Let's look at the next one. Here we have again 3/4 divided by 1/2. I'm going to rewrite it, and then I'm going to put a box around it. Put the 3/4 on the outside. It doesn't change. Everything within the box changes. Division changes to multiplication. The 1/2 changes the reciprocal of 1/2, which is 2 over 1. Now we multiply it out. 6 over 4 equals 1 and 2/4, or 1 and 1/2. So 3/4 divided by 1/2 is 1 and 1/2. Isn't that great? We are actually multiplying in order to divide. We're not doing any division when we're faced with a problem like this. We're actually changing it to a multiplication problem. That's a great thing about fractions. Here we have 2 2/3 divided by 1 and 1/6. This is where we have to be a little bit careful. We're going to go ahead and change each of these into from mixed numbers into improper fractions. So I'm going to rewrite the problem into an improper fraction. So 3 times 2 is 6 plus 2 is 8, 8/3, divided by 6 times 1 is 6 plus 7 is 7/6. Now I'm going to create that box. Everything in the box I change. That changes to multiplication. Find the reciprocal, which is just flipping it. Everything outside the box remains the same. 8 times 6 is 48. 3 times 7 is 21. I'm going to go ahead and divide 21 into 48. And I think that goes twice. So now we get 2 times 21 is 42. And I have 6/21 left over. 2 and 6/21. Divide top and bottom by 3. I get 2/7. 2 and 2/7 is my answer. All right, here's your problem. You're tasked with these 3 problems. Explain how you can use mental math to find the value of n in the equation 5/8 times n. So you're going to explain how you can figure out what that is. Okay? Mental math. Then you're going to explain, in both these, you're explaining how to find the reciprocal of this. There's an extra step which you need to do before you flip. The reciprocal of 3 and 6/11 is not 3 and 11/6. That's not the reciprocal. You're going to have to find the reciprocal. And finally, here's a problem to solve. We'll see you in class.